Welcome back to my Vermihut worm tower. I have, since the last video, installed this translucent cover into the main lid, which has a cocoa coir, coconut mat sandwiched between to help keep insects out and ensure good airflow. So this video is actually going to be a bit of a voiceover, so bear with me if it seems a little bit weird, because my husband's actually in a meeting in the same room as I'm filming this. So today's going to be our first feeding for this worm tower, and it's going to be kind of a small one because we don't have that many worms and they are still getting used to this worm tower. So I don't have a lot that I'm giving them, just a small frozen container of leftovers that I've thawed overnight. So it still has the 2 carrots that were in there before that I showed you last time. All the worms seem to be really happy. There's quite a few up in this layer. You might be able to see them, although the lighting in this corner is still a little bit weird. So I just have a little bit of dry shredded paper bags. Like I mentioned in the other video, at this time I do not have the ability to shred cardboard, so I just use paper bags. And then because this food has a lot of moisture in it, I'm putting it in dry. So I've got a couple of strawberry tops, some wilted spinach, some of the lower part of the lettuce stalk that we just don't love to eat. And I think that I put in a bell pepper there too, a little tiny little chunk of like a bell pepper. So this is just some basic food scraps, a little maraschino cherry from a beverage that I got at Sonic. Nothing super exciting, but it's just a relatively small feeding. And then I have a little bit of tea leaves that some of them are loose leaf tea, some of them are tea bags. And the only thing I remove is the strings and tags from the tea bags. The ones I use do not have staples. But if they had staples, you would remove that as well. They probably could eat the strings. I think they're made out of cotton. And these are biodegradable tea bags. These are not plastic tea bags, so just check that. They did get slightly moldy, but the worms won't mind. So I'm just covering that with some damp shredded cardboard because I do want them to be able to access the food relatively easily and not be totally turned off by it. And they prefer moisture. So this is just damp shredded not cardboard, damp shredded paper bag going in on top. And then I have this pulverized, chopped up eggshells, dried eggshells, and I'm putting this on top. The worms will use this as a calcium source, as grit for their gizzards because they do not have teeth. They can't just chew up the food. So I'm just putting that in. I did have a little bit of the damp shredded paper left in my little container, and I just want to use it all up and not have it sit there until next time. So just putting that on top, covering the whole thing up. And yeah, so that's the basics of very first feeding. I will show you next time when I feed them what that looks like. I forgot to put the carrots in, so I'm just going to put those back in. But look at these worms. So the carrots are starting to see some action. These are kind of a really slow feeding food for them because they're taking a while to decay. They weren't like rotten or anything when I put them in. They were just a little bit slimy, but I'm just leaving those worms on there because they're kind of working on it and burying that in next to the rest of the food. So I'll show you everything next time. We'll see if we have any kind of trace of any of that next time. And that will be in about a week. So I am going to go ahead and lift up this top tray just to see if there's any action underneath. We've got just the dried shredded paper below, and then some of the bedding has fallen through, and there is one little worm that has decided to come down here. But for now, I want that to, oh, I can't pick it up. I want that guy to go back up in the top, so I'm just taking him out and putting him back in the top. But they aren't really, migrating down in there too much. But yeah, I will see you guys in a week to feed them again.